Welcome to another episode of Deep Dive into Real Estate by Team Luddy Dillon. This is the place where we simplify real estate for you, one topic at a time. Enjoy.
All right, so imagine this. You're all settled in your home, life is good, and then suddenly, bam, life throws you a curveball.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe it's a job loss, maybe some unexpected medical bills or something else entirely. But the point is, things get tight.
Yeah.
And you find yourself struggling to keep up with those mortgage payments.
For sure.
And then just when you think it can't get any worse, you receive a legal notice in the mail that mentions something called power of sale.
Yeah,
Let's talk about stressful, right?
It's definitely a situation no homeowner wants to be in, and unfortunately, it is more common than you might think.
Yeah, especially with all the economic uncertainty we've been seeing lately.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why we're diving deep into this topic today. We're going to break down this scary-sounding power of sale process in Ontario step by step. So, what it means, what to expect,
Yeah.
and most importantly, what options you might have.
Absolutely. And we want to give a shout out to Laddie Dillon and his real estate team for making this deep dive possible.
Laddie's been a real estate expert in the Peel region since 2007, Brampton, Caledon, and Mississauga.
Wow.
He's really passionate about helping people navigate the real estate world, which is what we're all about here, too, empowering you with knowledge.
Absolutely. We're all about making sure you feel informed and confident when it comes to your home. But remember, this is for educational purposes.
Yes.
And it's always best to get advice, personalized advice from a pro like Laddie
100%.
before making any big decisions.
Yes, definitely. So let's demystify this power of sale thing. At its core, it's simply the right that your lender has to sell your property to get their money back if you default on your mortgage.
Okay, so it's like the bank saying, hey, we loaned you this money to buy your dream home, and you're not holding up your end of the bargain, so we're going to sell the house to get our money back. But it can't be as simple as that, right?
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. The lender can't just slap a for sale sign on your lawn and just call it a day. There's a specific process outlined in the Ontario Power of Sale, a mortgage remedy guide. And there are 6 key steps that the lender must follow.
Okay.
Think of it as a legal playbook designed to protect both the lender and the homeowner.
I like that. Okay, so let's crack open this playbook and go step by step. What's the first move in this legal chess match?
Okay, well, the game begins when a borrower defaults on their mortgage. Most people just think this means missing payments, but it can actually involve breaching other terms of the mortgage agreement as well.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So even if I'm diligently making my payments, there are other things that could trigger this whole power of sale process.
Unfortunately, yes, it's not just about the money. Things like failing to pay property taxes or letting the property fall into disrepair or even using the property for illegal activities, all of those things could be considered violations of your mortgage agreement.
Yeah.
And they could put you on the path to power of sale.
So it's kind of like a homeowner's version of 3 strikes and you're out. But instead of baseball bats, we're talking about legal notices and property rights.
Right.
This is getting intense.
Yeah, it definitely highlights the importance of understanding all the terms of your mortgage agreement, not just the monthly payment amount.
Right.
But let's not get ahead of ourselves.
Okay.
We're still on step 1, which is the default.
Yeah.
Once the default happens, the clock starts ticking.
Okay, so the default sets things in motion. What happens next? Does the lender just barge in and start packing your belongings?
Not quite. There's still a bit more decorum involved in this legal dance. Step 2 is all about notices. The lender is required to deliver a notice of sale under mortgage at least 15 days after the default. It's not a courtesy call, it's a legal obligation.
Okay, so they have to give you a heads up before they start showing your house to potential buyers.
Exactly.
But is it just one simple notice?
It can be more than one, actually. There are specific notices required under the Bankruptcy Act and the Farm Debt Mediation Act, and it all depends on the circumstances. It can get complex, but the main point is transparency. The lender has to make sure everybody involved, the borrower, guarantors, other mortgage holders, anyone with a claim to the property is informed and has a chance to respond.
Okay, so they're casting a wide net with these notices, making sure everyone's in the loop.
Yep.
But let's say you receive this notice of sale. Is it game over? Are you automatically evicted and left with nothing?
Hold on, not so fast. Remember that playbook we talked about? There's still a chance to change the game plan. This is where we enter step 3, the redemption period. And it's actually a glimmer of hope in this otherwise stressful situation.
Redemption period. Okay, that sounds a bit more optimistic. What exactly does it mean? Do you get a superhero cape and some special powers to save your home?
Well, maybe not a cape, but you do get a window of opportunity. During this time, you have the chance to either catch up on your mortgage payments or pay off the mortgage debt entirely. You'd also have to cover any legal fees that the lender has incurred up to that point.
Okay.
So it's really like hitting the reset button on the whole process.
So it's like a get-out-of-jail-free card in Monopoly. You have a limited time to gather your resources and make things right with the lender.
Precisely. It's your chance to stop the power of sale in its tracks and keep your home. And remember, even if it seems impossible to come up with the whole mortgage amount, there might be other options available, like refinancing or negotiating a payment plan. This is where seeking legal advice early on can really be a game changer.
Okay, so there's hope yet.
Yeah.
But let's say, despite your best efforts, you're unable to come up with the funds during the redemption period. What happens then? Does the lender finally get to call in the moving trucks?
Unfortunately, if the borrower can't fulfill their obligations during that redemption period, the lender is legally allowed to move on to step 4, and this is where things start to get a little more serious.
Okay, here comes the nail-biting part. What does step 4 entail?
Step 4 involves the lender applying to take possession of the property. They issue what's called a statement of claim for the collection of the debt and possession of the property.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So it's getting real now. It's like the lender's formally saying, all right, playtime's over. We tried to work with you, but now we're taking legal action.
Exactly. And if the homeowner doesn't respond with a statement of defense, which is basically their side of the story, the lender can get what's called a default judgment and then apply for a writ of possession.
Okay.
Which, to simplify things, is like a key that unlocks the door for them to take possession.
So it's like the lender saying checkmate in this legal chess match.
Yeah.
But what exactly does a writ of possession do? Does it give the lender permission to just change the locks and move all your belongings to the curb?
It's not quite that dramatic, but it does give them the legal right to evict you. The writ is delivered to the sheriff, who then schedules an eviction date. And this brings us to step 5, the eviction itself. It's important to understand that while the lender is within their legal rights to proceed with eviction, you still have rights as a homeowner.
So even in this dire situation, there are still some protections in place. What kind of rights are we talking about?
Well, for starters, you have the right to be treated fairly and with respect throughout the process. You also have the right to receive proper notice of the eviction and to have a reasonable opportunity to vacate the premises. This is where having a lawyer on your side can be incredibly helpful.
Right.
They can ensure your rights are being upheld and that the lender is following all the proper procedures.
Okay, so even though it feels like you're losing control of the situation, knowing your rights and having legal representation can help you navigate this challenging terrain. But let's face it, eviction is still a scary prospect. What happens once the lender has taken possession of the property?
Well, then we reach the final step in this 6-step saga, which is the sale of the property. This is step 6. The lender, typically working with a real estate agent, will list the property and try to sell it at a fair market value. It's important to note that they're obligated to make a reasonable effort to get the best possible price. They'll usually get 2 independent appraisals to determine that fair market value, which helps ensure they're not selling it for a ridiculously low price, just to recoup their losses quickly.
Okay, so there are some safeguards in place to prevent the lender from just selling your house for pennies on the dollar.
Right.
But let's talk about the money from the sale. Where does it go? Is it just a free-for-all with everyone grabbing what they can?
No, not exactly. There's a very clear hierarchy of who gets paid first. Think of it as a financial waterfall. At the top of the waterfall is the lender. They get their money back first, which makes sense considering they're the ones who initiated this whole process. They'll use the proceeds to cover any outstanding mortgage debt, accrued interest, and any legal or administrative costs associated with the power of sale.
Right, the lender gets to settle their tab first.
Exactly.
But what about the homeowner who's lost their home in this whole ordeal? Do they get anything from the sale?
Well, that depends. If there's any money left over after the lender has taken their cut and paid all the expenses, those remaining funds would go to the homeowner. But there's a catch, and it's a pretty significant one. In many cases, the costs associated with the power of sale, legal fees, realtor fees, missed payments, all of that, it can be so high that there's little to nothing left for the homeowner.
Wow, that's a tough pill to swallow. Like losing your home and then finding out you're still in debt because the sale didn't cover all the costs. It feels like a double whammy.
It can be, yeah.
This is where it gets really important to seek legal advice, isn't it?
Absolutely. A lawyer who specializes in real estate and power of sale can guide you through the process, help you understand your rights and obligations, and potentially negotiate with the lender to reach a more favorable outcome. They can be your advocate, your translator, and your strategist all rolled into one.
They're like your real estate guardian angel.
Yes.
Fighting for your best interest in a very complex and often overwhelming situation.
Precisely. And the sooner you involve a lawyer, the better equipped you'll be to navigate this tricky terrain. Don't wait until the eviction notice is on your doorstep to start looking for legal help. Proactivity is key here.
Right. Knowledge is power, especially when it comes to something as important as your home. It's easy to feel powerless in this situation, but understanding the process and your rights can give you a sense of control. But let's be honest, even with the best legal representation, losing your home can be a devastating experience both financially and emotionally.
Yeah.
It's essential to acknowledge that and seek support if you need it.
I couldn't agree more. This is where the human element comes into play. It's not just about the legal and financial aspects, it's about the emotional toll this whole process can take. Reach out to friends, family, support groups, whatever you need. Don't try to go through this alone.
Absolutely. It's a reminder that even amidst these challenging circumstances, you're not alone, and there are resources and people who care and want to help. But before we get too deep into the emotional side of things, we've got a lot more ground to cover in our deep dive into Power of Sale. So stick around, because in part 2, we'll be exploring some potential pitfalls of the process and delving even further into the importance of seeking expert legal advice. Stay tuned.
Welcome back to our deep dive into the world of Power of Sale in Ontario. If you're just joining us, you might want to rewind and catch part 1 where we set the stage and walk through those initial 6 steps of the process.
Exactly. We covered a lot of ground in part 1, but there's still so much to unpack. Today, we're putting on our detective hats and looking beyond the surface to uncover some potential pitfalls homeowners need to be aware of. Think of it as a Power of Sale cautionary tale.
Great analogy. It's important to understand that while the Power of Sale process is designed to be fair and transparent, there are certain nuances and potential pitfalls that homeowners should be prepared for.
Okay, pitfalls. This sounds a bit ominous. It's like we're entering a haunted house of real estate. What kind of scary surprises should homeowners be watching out for?
Well, one of the biggest concerns is the possibility that a homeowner might not receive much or any money from the sale of their home. Remember, the lender's priority is to recoup their losses, not necessarily to maximize the sale price for the homeowner.
So even if the housing market is booming and properties are selling like hotcakes, a homeowner facing Power of Sale could still end up with empty pockets. That's disheartening.
It's a harsh reality, but it's important to understand the financial mechanics at play here. The sale price isn't just going into the homeowner's bank account, it's being used to settle debts. And those debts can pile up quickly, especially with legal fees, realtor fees, and mispayments factored in.
It's like trying to fill a leaky bucket. Even if you pour in a lot of water, you might not end up with much left in the end. So besides potentially receiving little to no money from the sale, what other pitfalls should homeowners be aware of?
Another concern is that the lender might not be incentivized to go the extra mile to get the highest possible sale price. They're required to sell the property at fair market value, but their primary objective is to cover their losses, not to make a huge profit for the homeowner. They might be content with a quick sale, even if it means leaving a few $1,000s on the table.
It's like going to a car dealership and having the salesperson say, yeah, we could probably get you a better price, but we're just going to go with this offer because it's good enough. It wouldn't exactly inspire confidence, would it?
That's a great analogy. It highlights the importance of having someone on your side advocating for your best interests. This is where having legal representation becomes crucial. A real estate lawyer can scrutinize the sale process, ensure the lender is following the rules, and potentially challenge a sale price that seems unfairly low.
So it's not just about knowing your rights. It's also about having someone who can fight for those rights and make sure you're getting a fair shake. This whole Power of Sale thing feels like navigating a minefield of legal jargon and financial complexities.
Exactly. And the sooner you involve a lawyer, the better equipped you'll be to avoid those mines and navigate the process safely.
Okay, I'm getting the message loud and clear. Don't wait until the eviction notice arrives to start searching for legal help. But what about communication with the lender? Should homeowners just bury their heads in the sand and hope the problem goes away? Or is it better to reach out to the lender proactively?
That's an excellent question, and it brings us to another potential pitfall, ignoring the problem. Many homeowners facing financial difficulties feel overwhelmed and embarrassed, so they try to avoid dealing with the situation, but ignoring the problem will only make things worse.
It's like that pile of laundry that keeps growing and growing until you can't even close the closet door. Eventually, you have to face it.
Exactly. The best thing a homeowner can do if they're struggling to make their mortgage payments is to contact their lender as soon as possible and explain their situation. Don't wait for the lender to come knocking on your door with a legal notice.
So take a deep breath, pick up the phone, and have that conversation. It sounds scary, but it could make a world of difference. What should a homeowner expect when they reach out to the lender? Are lenders typically understanding and willing to work with homeowners in these situations?
You'd be surprised how often lenders are willing to work with borrowers who are facing genuine hardship. They understand that life throws curveballs and that sometimes circumstances beyond our control can impact our ability to meet our financial obligations. The key is to be proactive, honest, and open to exploring potential solutions together.
So it's like saying, hey, I'm facing some challenges right now, but I'm committed to finding a way to make things work. What kind of solutions might a lender offer in these situations?
They might offer a temporary payment deferral where you can postpone your payments for a few months to give you time to get back on your feet, or they might suggest a loan modification where they adjust the terms of your mortgage to make your payments more manageable. In some cases, they might even recommend refinancing your mortgage to get a lower interest rate and reduce your monthly payments.
Those all sound like much better options than losing your home. It's encouraging to know that lenders are often willing to be flexible and work with homeowners to find solutions. But let's face it, even with those options, sometimes things don't work out, and the power of sale process becomes inevitable.
That's true, and that's why it's crucial to understand the process. Know your rights and have a knowledgeable advocate on your side.
It's like having a trusty map and a compass when you're venturing into unfamiliar territory. Speaking of maps and compasses, let's take a moment to remind our listeners about a fantastic resource right here in the Peel region, Caledon Dillon and his team.
Absolutely. Laddie's been a trusted name in real estate in Brampton, Caledon, and Mississauga for over 15 years. He's helped countless homeowners navigate the complexities of buying, selling, and investing in real estate.
And he's passionate about empowering people with knowledge, just like we are here on the Deep Dive. So if you're facing a challenging situation or just have questions about real estate, reach out to Laddie. He's a wealth of information and a true advocate for his clients.
Couldn't agree more. His expertise and dedication are invaluable assets in any real estate endeavor.
All right, folks, we've covered a lot of ground in this part of our deep dive into the potential pitfalls of power of sale. We've talked about the possibility of receiving little to no money from the sale, the lender's focus on recouping their losses, and the importance of communication, legal representation, and proactive steps to address financial challenges. But we're not done yet. In Part 3, we'll be shifting gears and focusing on some proactive steps you can take to safeguard your homeownership, even if you're not currently facing financial difficulty. Think of it as power of sale prevention strategies. Stay tuned. Welcome back to the Deep Dive. We've journeyed through the power of sale process in Ontario, explored those potential pitfalls that lurk in the shadows.
Yeah.
And now it's time to equip you with the knowledge and tools to protect your homeownership.
Exactly. Think of this final part as our power of sale prevention plan, a toolkit for proactive homeowners who want to fortify their financial foundations and safeguard their homes.
Love it. It's like we're building a fortress of financial security brick by brick.
Yes.
So where do we start laying the foundation for this fortress? What's the most important thing homeowners should focus on?
Well, just like a strong house needs a solid foundation, your homeownership journey starts with a robust financial plan, and the cornerstone of any good financial plan is a well-structured budget.
Okay, budgeting. It's one of those words that can make people groan. It conjures up images of spreadsheets, restrictive spending limits, and saying no to all the fun stuff. But it doesn't have to be that way, right?
Absolutely. Budgeting isn't about deprivation. It's about empowerment. It's about taking control of your finances so you can make informed decisions and achieve your goals. And when it comes to protecting your homeownership, a solid budget is your first line of defense.
So it's like having a financial roadmap.
Yes.
That guides you towards your destination, which in this case is keeping your beloved home. But for many people, creating and sticking to a budget can feel overwhelming. Any tips for making it less daunting?
Absolutely. Start by tracking your spending for a month or two. This will give you a clear picture of where your money is going. You might be surprised by how much you're spending on things you don't really need. Then create a realistic budget that aligns with your income and expenses. There are tons of helpful resources available online, including budgeting apps and templates that can make this process easier. The key is to find a system that works for you and stick with it.
So it's about finding a system that fits your lifestyle, not trying to force yourself into a one-size-fits-all mold. And once you have a budget in place, It's all about discipline and consistency.
Right, exactly. It's like going to the gym. One workout won't magically transform your body. It takes consistent effort over time to see results. The same principle applies to budgeting. Make it a habit. Review it regularly and adjust it as needed. And remember, even small changes can make a big difference in the long run.
It's like that saying, little by little, a little becomes a lot.
Yeah.
So budgeting is the foundation of our financial fortress. What other building blocks are essential for protecting our home ownership?
Another crucial element is managing debt responsibly. Debt can be a useful tool when used wisely, but it can also become a slippery slope if not managed carefully. High-interest debt, like credit card debt, can quickly erode your financial stability and put you at risk of falling behind on your mortgage payments.
It's like those tempting buy now, pay later schemes.
Yeah.
They seem convenient at the time, but they can quickly spiral out of control if you're not careful.
Mm-hmm.
So what's the best strategy for tackling debt and keeping it from becoming a burden?
Prioritize paying down high-interest debt first, as it accrues interest faster and can quickly snowball. Consider debt consolidation options like a balance transfer to a lower-interest credit card or a personal loan to simplify your payments and reduce interest charges, and of course, create a debt repayment plan and stick to it as closely as possible. It might feel challenging at first, but the sense of accomplishment and financial freedom you'll gain will be worth it.
It's like that weight that lifts off your shoulders when you finally pay off a big debt. It's a fantastic feeling. So we've got budgeting and debt management covered. What's next on our checklist for building a resilient financial fortress?
Well, no fortress is complete without a strong defense system, and in the world of personal finance, that means having an emergency fund. Life is full of unexpected twists and turns, job loss, medical emergencies, car repairs. These things can happen to anyone, and they can really wreak havoc on your finances if you're not prepared.
It's like having a financial airbag. It might not prevent the accident, but it can certainly cushion the impact. But let's face it, saving money can be tough, especially when you're already juggling multiple expenses. How do you even begin to build an emergency fund when you're living paycheck to paycheck?
Start small, even if it's just $10 or $20 a week. Set up an automatic transfer from your checking account to a separate savings account dedicated to your emergency fund. Think of it as paying yourself first. Treat it as a non-negotiable expense, and as you get raises or bonuses, increase your contributions gradually over time. Those small contributions will add up, and you'll have a safety net to protect you from life's financial storms.
It's like planting a seed. It might seem tiny at first, but with consistent nurturing, it can grow into a mighty oak tree, and that emergency fund will be your financial oak tree, providing shade and shelter when you need it most. So I've got budgeting, debt management, and an emergency fund. What else can homeowners do to proactively protect their investment?
Another important step is understanding your mortgage agreement thoroughly. Don't just skim it and file it away. Take the time to read it carefully, understand the terms and conditions, and know what constitutes a default. Remember those surprises we talked about earlier? Well, understanding your mortgage agreement can help you avoid those.
It's like reading the fine print before signing a contract. You don't want to be caught off guard by hidden fees or unexpected clauses. But let's be honest, mortgage agreements can be dense and full of legal jargon. Any tips for making them more digestible?
Don't hesitate to ask your lender or mortgage broker to explain anything you don't understand. They're there to help you, and if you're still feeling overwhelmed, consider consulting with a real estate lawyer. They can break down the legalese into plain English and ensure you're fully aware of your rights and obligations.
It's like having a translator who can decipher the ancient scrolls of real estate law.
Yeah.
So understand your mortgage agreement. Check. What else should homeowners keep in mind?
Staying informed about the real estate market is also really beneficial. Keep an eye on trends in interest rates, property values, and local market conditions. This knowledge can help you make informed decisions about your home, whether you're thinking of selling, refinancing, or simply staying put.
It's like being a savvy investor. You wouldn't buy stocks without researching the company or understanding the market. The same principle applies to your home. It's a significant investment, so it pays to be informed. But where can homeowners go to find reliable and up-to-date information about the real estate market?
There are numerous resources available online, including real estate websites, market reports, and financial news outlets. You can also consult with local real estate professionals like our friend Lottie Dillon, who can provide valuable insights and guidance based on their expertise and experience in the Peel region. Remember, knowledge is power, and staying informed can help you navigate the real estate world with confidence.
Absolutely. And speaking of Laddie, let's give him another shout out. He's been a pillar of the real estate community in Brampton, Caledon, and Mississauga for over 15 years. He's passionate about helping people achieve their home ownership dreams, and he's always willing to go the extra mile for his clients. So if you're looking for a trusted and knowledgeable real estate professional in the Peel region, look no further than Laddie Tillin and his team. They'll be your guides, your advocates, and your partners in your real estate journey.
Well said. Laddie's commitment to his clients is truly commendable, and his expertise is invaluable in today's dynamic real estate market.
Okay, folks, we've reached the end of our deep dive into Power of Sale. We explored the process from start to finish, uncovered potential pitfalls, and most importantly, equipped you with the knowledge and strategies to protect your home ownership. Remember, knowledge is power, and by taking proactive steps, you can build a solid financial foundation and safeguard your home for years to come. And if you found this deep dive helpful, please leave us a review and subscribe for more insightful episodes. Until next time, happy homeowning.
Happy homeowning, everyone.
Don't forget to subscribe to our channel. We will be back with something new and something interesting.